Compensatory Code of Mobile, Alabama.
In Alabama, the Castle Law applies equally to all homeowners. It's part of the state code that deals with self-defense, and it gives the person the right to protect themselves if an intruder enters their home. Investigators say the evidence they have so far indicates that's what Nathaniel Johnson did. Johnson told deputies the suspect, Cleveland Gully, was startled when he saw Johnson, and he turned and ran out of the home. Johnson chased the suspect and told authorities his intention was to catch him. Mr. Johnson was held for nearly 72 hours because the sheriff said they needed to record his statement about what happened. Whetstone says it's unusual for someone to be held that long without being arrested or charged.
Stand your ground laws. Protect those in the African American.
Officers will soon be going through diversity training to address any prejudices and biases they may have.
The results that we want to see is the feedback from the officers that they do understand implied bias and how to deal with and recognize your own biasness, as well as how to deal with it in the street.
The shooting of 19-year-old Michael Moore by a Mobile officer sparked protests locally. Nationwide, protests have turned violent after other African-American men were killed by police.
The need for the training dates back to the very first issues of Ferguson. And so, you had Ferguson in Baltimore that erupted in New York, and we saw that in other places in the country. And so the need to do a better job.
The Mobile Police Department is teaming up with the U.S. Attorney's Office and an officer training program called Caliber Press. The program is called Peace, or Prejudice, Empathy, Attitude, Communication, and Engagement in a Law Enforcement Environment.
Documents have been released revealing corruption against young black men in the Dothan County Police Department, dating as far back as 1996. Here to join me is Emmy Award-winning legal analyst and news decoder, Lionel of Lionel Media. Now, Lionel, how does something like this happen?
It happens through a systematic cancer. And keep in mind, this isn't the usual police corruption. This isn't a cop on the take. This isn't a cop going violent. This is the systematic and deliberate targeting of African Americans and minorities by a police force who are apparently doing this by virtue of a desire to frame a particular demographic. This transcends any type of police misconduct that we normally see. And it's years and years of not only looking the other way, but apparently actually being a part of the very cancer itself. It knows no peer.
2 police in Anniston, Alabama, who are now suspended after it has been revealed that they've been involved with some organizations that aren't necessarily friendly to all races, pretty much anybody other than white people, or, well, white Christians, let's put it that way. And this officer, Josh Dogrel, is a member of an organization called the League of the South, and he was speaking at one of their gatherings, and that was on videotape, and that got put online, and then that got seen and posted again, and now we're talking about it because he went to speak to this group, this Lieutenant Josh Dogrel, and he said this. He was talking about he was up for a raise, up for a promotion, and he went in to talk to his boss who wanted to clear things up because a lot of people have been talking about this officer who may be involved with hate groups, and he just wanted to clear it up, and this is what he said. I went in and I told the chief last year, I'm not going to sell out my position with the league. It's something I believe in strongly. If it came down to it, I'd choose the league. Is there anything you want to ask me? And his supervisor responds, you've just answered every question I have. We pretty much think like you do.
Shocking. Makes me scared to go down to Alabama.
I have not received any indication that this video, which was recorded by means of your tax money, will be released. Now, Fox 10 News wants to see the body cam video recorded by all of the responding officers the day Moore was shot during a traffic stop, specifically from the time officers were en route to the scene of the shooting, throughout their time on scene, and up until the time the scene was cleared and officers left. Now, here's the first response from Mobile Police about our request. It says, quote, all requests for video and or body cam video will not be released to the media or to the public at this time due to the ongoing investigation pursuant to the Alabama Public Records Law. So our attorney countered by explaining in part, quote, Alabama's courts have been clear that the exceptions to the open records law should be narrowly construed, and goes on to say the body cam footage is simply a contemporaneous visual of what a citizen could have seen. I find it incredulous for you to broadly state that all video is necessary to an investigation without support, and that absolutely none of it may be released. Now today, more than a month later, Mobile Police finally told us our request has been forwarded to its legal department. We'll let you know if and when that video is released.
If there had been cameras, we would know exactly what happened.
Under the new law, police body cam and dash cam video will only be made public with a court order.
My goal is to protect those who protect us. My goal is to protect those who protect us.
Governor McCrory says the law promotes transparency, but critics say it only deepens the divide in the wake of recent officer-involved shootings.
It's not going to do anything to create any type of transparency or accountability, and it definitely won't open up lines of communication or trust between the police and the community members.
My goal is to protect those who protect us.
Louisiana. Everything we're seeing has been prophesied, and it pains me to wipe the tears from my eyes. Our kings will not be finalized. No, they won't be finalized. No. When the white sheets become blue uniforms, and my hate is simply cause the way I was born. That blue blood runs so thick. Said that blue blood runs so thick. If I speak up, will you murder me too? Our blood on your hands means nothing to you. That blue blood runs so thick. Why does that blue blood run so thick?
We got to get back to the point where that we have police officers that really do care about all lives. And right now, we don't have that. And I think it's because of the presidential nominee, Donald Trump. His hatred, it's what he's spreading out into the community. And if you notice, this got worse after he got up and said, well, back in the old days, they wouldn't do this. We would take them out and take care of this. And immediately at his one of his conferences, you saw a guy punch a black guy. See, so when you have this kind of stuff coming up from hierarchy and coming up from high above, this is the kind of things that cause people to kill.
All right, sir. So let's switch gears here. David Duke just announced that he's running for senator in your state, Louisiana.
He may get it. He may actually win that seat, because you have to understand, whether we see it or not, racism, prejudice is just as strong as it was back when King was marching, back when Malcolm was alive. It hasn't. You have to understand that people have businesses, and I'll take your money, but I could care less about your life. So it is a possibility that he could get it.
Yeah, that's interesting, because that's what I was trying to tell Glass Cloud the other day. He was trying to prove the case that it has gotten better in the past decades, and I'm like, man, over the Clinton administration, the incarceration rate have went up such a high amount, 70%, and you got all these kids in prison. How exactly did it get better when we got kids in greater confinement and sitting in holes rotting away? Like, it's more kids doing that. So that means that's less freedom, right?
Clinton era, you had mass incarceration, 3 strikes, you're out. Right. That system was designed for black people, to incarcerate young black drug dealers.
Super predators.
That's right, to not give them a chance. And so now that even when she become president, she has that opportunity to reverse what her husband actually created to be the demise of young black men.
You think she would do it, in your opinion?
In my opinion, I believe that Hillary would sincerely work towards changing that law. I believe that. I believe at this point in time that it's got to be done.
And what makes you believe that?
Just by listening to her and observing her, I believe that she wants to get back in relationship with the black community, because she's not where she should be, like she was years ago, the Clintons was years ago. But, we don't know. People make all kinds of promises when they're running for the president of the United States. And we just won't know. But we'll have to just watch it and see. But I will say this: we as black men need to step up and be men. We need to stop sitting in the house. We need to stop marching. We need to stop burning candles. We need to be men. And in order to be a man, you got to be ready to do whatever is necessary to save your family. Because I feel this way, and I've said it on YouTube, and I've said it a couple of times. When you see an organization, and I'm not promoting terrorism at all, but when you see an organization like ISIS that's willing to die for a belief, we as black men should be willing to die to protect our families. And for so many years, the black man has never stepped up and been a man. The black man has always been a yes sir, no sir. You've always had these weak-kneed activists and politicians that gather you together and say, hey, look, we're going to do this in peace. We're going to do it peacefully. And we're being laughed at. Because I can actually, the most funniest thing that I've been watching lately out of all the murderers is that the family member comes up and say, don't disrespect the death of my child by looting and rioting. And that's not disrespecting your child. It's just that you have a lot of people that take advantage of opportunity to go burn and steal, and I would never promote that. But don't ever tell people don't be angry. Because we need to be angry. There needs to be an element of anger, I wouldn't say hatred, but an element of anger, and until the point that you resentment, that you're actually tired of this. And it used to be years ago, if you saw a police officer coming, you felt safe. Now if you see a police officer coming, you're wondering, am I going to go home today?